Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and today I kind of have like a sort of a hybrid review going on. I have several different components here that I'm just going to mash them all up into one review for you guys. Now, the main feature of this review is the new Runcam Eagle 2 Pro. Previously on the channel, you saw this Runcam Eagle 2, and I like this camera. This one got a really good review, and I was able to tune it and tune out that sort of bitmapped look that it comes stock with, and get a really nice image quality out of this camera. So this one stayed on my quad for quite some time. Now, I just built this new iFlight. This is an XL5. It's a 220 millimeter frame, and I do have an f4 Magnum on there, and I have special edition Emax race spec motors on there. Those are the 2306, and those are quite high kV. They're 2550 kVs. Pretty nice motors, and they run great on this frame. Now, what's so special about the Eagle Pro versus the regular Eagle 2? Well, this one was your 16:9 ratio camera that stays in 16:9. It is switchable between PAL and NTSC, but this one is dual aspect ratio, so you can switch back and forth between 16:9 or 4:3. So some guys are asking me, well, Justin, which one should I fly? Which one should I get? Should I get 16:9 or should I fly 4:3? Really, that's up to you. That depends on what you like. Now, my experience in this review, right away, I've already flown this, and most times I won't review anything until I have experience with something. I just don't usually do unboxing and spec talk about something before I use it. So I did fly this quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun. And I did switch the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 4:3. Now, I like the 4:3 aspect ratio better for my HD3s, mainly because it looked less fisheyed. When I went to 16:9, it kind of looked a little bit too fisheyed for my taste. So I switched back to the 4:3, and I flew this with the 4:3 aspect ratio. Now, like most of the Runcams, it does have a pretty wide voltage range on here. You can go from 5 volt all the way up to 36 volts. So you can power this directly off of your VBAT terminals, and you probably aren't going to fry this unless you're flying some huge battery. But that's really cool that a lot of these can handle so much voltage, because you can just about power them off of any source and not worry about it too much. Now, it's also, the FOV for 16:9 is 170 degrees, and that's what I didn't like. I didn't like it. It was too fisheyed looking, so kind of fishbowl looking. The 4:3 aspect ratio is 140 degrees, as you can see here. So that was the one that I liked, because the edges of the screen just weren't so bowed out looking. It was more of a flat view, and I like that a little better. Now, as always, Runcam, with the larger cameras, they always give you a second type and style of camera mount, camera housing. So this one has the larger back on it. Some people prefer to use this one, and I just kept the original stock one on there, but this one only has one mounting point on here. With this edition, you have an extra mounting point right there. So you have 2 total mounting points on this style camera housing, but the other one has 3 right along the edge, and that's usually the one I prefer because I can kind of adjust. This particular frame, this camera is so large, and the iFlight XL5 is actually called the Low Rider. So you can see this frame is pretty low in here, and I had to use some different mounting technique here to get this f4 Magnum inside this frame without touching this top rail. I could have extended the top here and maybe just one more spacer up, but I didn't really want to do that because I wanted to keep this original kind of look on here. But since this camera has 3 different mounting points, I was able to move it to the topmost point and get it all the way down to the frame right here. That way I can fit this inside here. This is such a large camera frame that I wasn't able to get it on the middle mounting point. Normally with most frames I can, but since this one's so compact, I had to move it all the way to the top point and make sure it's all the way at the base. But I'm not getting any jello on this setup, so it's a really nice mount. Now, also with the Eagle Pro 2, you also get that little joystick programmable USB cable, and this just plugs right into the little blue wire, and you plug it right into the back of the camera here. And the way I have it is I actually have it running this direction right here, and I just have a little bit of hot glue right there to hold it down. So I can plug this in at the field, and I can go into the menus and adjust the camera settings on the fly. I was able to change that aspect ratio from 16:9 by 4:3. So now I just pulled the camera out of the frame so you guys could see the back of the camera and what's included with it. And I was showing you this cable before, and if you want to plug just this one in, you can do that like I was saying before, but you're not going to get all the rest of the stuff on here like audio and your VBAT cable. This little blue cable right here is your VBAT cable, and it'll tell you what your current voltage is on your battery. So if you run this one, snake this one underneath the flight controller and solder it back here to this positive battery connection back here. I just have it right on top of that, and it tells me what my current battery voltage is, which is pretty cool. Now this is the OSD in the ground spot right here, and that's a separate cable that I have running over here, and it is just like I said, hot glued right here. So you could do that on any setup. It's pretty simple. You also have an onboard mic with this camera, which is nice, and it is behind the camera, so you don't get a lot of wind noise, which is super cool. So you hear a little bit of motor noise, and that's about it right there. Now, one thing that you notice about the Eagle Pro 2 right away is that it does have a pretty large lens on the front. This is a 2.5mm lens on here, which is quite a bit bigger than something like the Runcam Swift or the Sparrow. Usually those are 2.1mm or 2.3. So this one does have a little bit larger lens on here. Now, if you want to use that other camera frame that comes along with it, it's not a big deal to change that out, to swap that out. All you have to do is remove these two screws right here, pop that back off. You'll see all this chips in here, and then just take the camera off the front. So just pull this right off, just like this. You can also swap out this lens for a different lens if you want to go on Runcam's site. You can check out the various lenses that they have. Let's see if I can pop this out of here without damaging anything. You might have to take a little tiny screwdriver and just slightly pull on one corner. You don't want to put any pressure on any of the chips inside here, or come in from this side, because your image sensor is right there. You can see that 16:9 image sensor inside there, and I believe that is cropped down to 4:3 there. So you'll pull this board off, and once you get this board off, there are two pins here, two rows of pins that we'll have to plug into the main sensor area, and you have two more screws right here to remove to get this main sensor out. And if you're removing this, just be careful that you don't touch or get any dust on this front sensor right here, because once you do, it will show up like a car on the front of your goggles. It will show up gigantic. One little tiny piece of dust on here will really look huge. So I've got the Runcam back in there, and I just wanted to go over this frame really quickly and show you this. It has a TrueX design on here, and this is the Low Rider XL5 from iFlight. You can see their little logos kind of engraved in the top of that, and it has a longer style body on the front. And with this f4 Magnum in here, I have plenty of room in front of the Magnum and the camera for all my wiring in there. I just twisted up the wires pretty nice and neat in there, and I have plenty of room on the back here. If I had to add any more components back here, it's like a truck bed back here, so I have plenty of room. Just ran that dipole out the top here, secured it with a zip tie, and then ran the XT60 battery cable out the bottom here, just like that. And they have mounting points on the bottom here if you want to run zip ties. They have them up front as well too, so that's kind of cool. And on the top, I had plenty of room up top. You've also got extra holes for zip ties to mount various items on the top. And if you want to, this is cool because they do give you the option to run your battery on top. If you want to do a top mount battery like that, or you can run it like I have it on the bottom. Either way, you have slots on both sides of the frame, so it's kind of cool that they did that. And they do give you some blinged out hardware. I've got blue on here, and I had these blue props on there yesterday, and it looked really cool. Kind of has that superhero look on there, Spider-Man or Superman looking, kind of Marvel looking frame. It was really actually pretty neat with the blue props matching the blue hardware. It's like blue aluminum, anodized aluminum hardware. And then on the bottom, I have all the silver hardware. You got self-locking nuts where the arm's secured to under the bottom plate. Now you also get some little foam pads. You can put these underneath the arms. If you're doing a top mount battery, when you come in you want something soft to land on, they give you those. Now also in this bag, this frame kit, they give you a nice TPU mount for your GoPro. It looks like it has about a 30-degree tilt on it. Just gonna go right on the front right here. You just put these two front bolts through here, and you have some extra hardware over here. They have two little tiny gold nuts, and those go on the bottom underneath here, and they mount right straight through there. So if I wanted to, even with this larger lens, I have plenty of clearance right here to run this mount. And you've also got space underneath here, plenty of space to run any kind of strap underneath your camera. And they've got sort of this bumper wall right here for your battery to rest up against. A lot of times I don't like to use top mount also because when you crash, your battery flies into your camera and just can wreck your camera. So that's another reason why I don't do top mount batteries. And they also give you two straps in the kit. They give you some stickers, and that's about it in this kit for this XL5. But I have to say, like, build time was probably about 3 hours yesterday morning. I came in the shop and just went straight to it and started soldering up the F4 Magnum. I think the F4 Magnum, if you decide to get this kit with a Runcam, and you can probably have this together and outside and flight testing within 3 to 4 hours. So not a super long build. This F4 Magnum really makes things a lot easier. So I think this is a fun little frame. Let's go ahead and I'm going to charge up some 4S 1300s, and we'll go out and do a flight demo, and I'll give you some more commentary on setting up your Runcam Eagle Pro 2. Now before you fly your Eagle, go into image right here, and what you're going to do is you're not going to adjust brightness, you're going to adjust inside where it says image. You're going to enhance the image. You're going to go to sharpness there all the way at the top. Click on that one, and now change that first value to 0. That's going to bring down that really pixelated look a lot and bring the edge value down to 1. Don't forget to save, by the way. Go back out, return, all the way out to the main menu. Go down to the very bottom here and save and exit. All right, let's go ahead and take off, and I'll show you what the default settings on this camera look like. You can kind of see a lot of pixelization on the trees. You can see the fence is kind of buzzing there. The horizon is definitely pixelated. Up close seems to be okay, but anything with a little bit of distance, like the grass right there, is just buzzing. There's a lot of sort of bitmap pixelization there. And my dipole does not do well when it's behind trees. It doesn't have any penetration whatsoever. So if you're flying this F4 Magnum, I would definitely switch out to the cloverleaf. And just a big wide open field. Look at that grass buzzing. Now originally when I got the first prototype of the Eagle, maybe early last year, really didn't like it because right out of the gate it looked like this. I just was used to flying with something that looked like this. And this is the difference. Once you go in and you change those settings like I showed you before in the image adjustment menus, bring that value down to 0 and 1 on the other value, and it's going to be a huge improvement for this camera. And what you're doing is you're just making it softer. You don't need it to be so sharp. I'm not sure why the default settings are set so sharp, because it really is a turnoff for a lot of people. The dipole's flickering even out in this wide open field right here, so I'm definitely gonna pull that dipole off my F4 and just go straight cloverleaf. I usually don't fly with dipoles, mainly because they're just not that great for penetration. Look, just behind this little, and it might be that, like the metal fence over there. It's giving a little bit of feedback, but I doubt it. But you can see the blades of grass. This is a lot better image quality. Now let me show you what it looks like if we have a little bit of overcast situation. I'm gonna take off with another battery here. Same little field. We got lots of little trees and stuff to fly around over here. Just kind of whip in and around. And look at that dipole. Not enjoying any type of object between me and the dipole. But I can still see pretty well with this setup, even with a little bit of overcast later in the evening. I don't have any sunshine right here, so the colors look pretty good though. and the contrast is good. None of this has changed as far as brightening in the video editor. I left it completely stock so you guys could see what the camera looks like in this overcast situation. It looks actually pretty decent. Still can see to go between things, around things. Kind of a small spot over there to fly a 5-inch. Flying this baby about quarter throttle right here because with these 2306s on here, man, if I go full speed, I'll be like out of that little park so quick. But like I said before, guys, this Eagle 2, this series has been one of my favorites from Runcam. Some people don't like it, but I actually like it a lot, mainly because I feel like it's a pretty high resolution camera. So this one has dual aspect, but I'm gonna stick with the 4.3. So thanks for watching this review, guys. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one.